Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. I know it's been a little bit since we went live. I am super excited for tonight's live stream. We've got Bryan Smith of Hard Truth Distilling in Indiana. And if you guys have not had Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye and these malted ryes, you guys are going to want to watch tonight's episode. It's going to be really good. I'm going to bring Bryan on in just a second, and then we're going to bring Ed and Ben, Patreon members, on. And we are going to taste through these today. As you guys saw, I dropped a review of all three of them. They scored really high on our scoring system. One of them even scored bunker worthy. So that's rare territory. So if you guys can hear me okay, please just type real quick, somebody in the chat. I think everybody can hear me. I think everything's good. Let me see here. Get one thing together. And we are just going to bring Bryan on right away because we've got about, 45 minutes or an hour with Bryan. So let me bring Bryan on.
Hey, Lance.
Hey, Bryan. How are you, man?
Good. How are you, buddy?
Good. Thanks for coming on, man. I'm so excited to try these with you because once again, you blew me away with your expressions.
That's a nice compliment. Thanks, Lance. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So I guess real quickly, first, we'll just start off. If you want to just kind of introduce yourself, if you want to tell the people about Hard Truth Distilling for those that haven't heard. I mean, I've been talking about you guys since 2020 into 2020, beginning of 2021, I think. So I think most of our people have heard about you, but there's probably some that haven't. So
sure. Well, I'll do the nickel pitch then. So we're a craft distillery in southern Indiana. We're in about an hour and a half north of Louisville, Kentucky, about an hour south of Indianapolis in Brown County, Indiana. So if anyone's ever been there before, most of Indiana is flat with cornfields, and then you get to the Bloomington, Brown County area, beautiful hardwood forests, hills and hollers, lakes, streams. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to be, beautiful place to build a distillery. So we've got great water. We've got beautiful environment. So we actually built the distillery carved it out of 325 wooded acres. We are a fully experiential based distillery. Most people think about distillery tours and, they're open from 12 to 3 days a week, and you got to get in there and, you got to get in and get out. You can't drink very much, but we're just the opposite. Open 7 days a week. We're open restaurant hours. We do all kinds of tours. We do distillery tours, rack house tours, side-by-side ATV tours, mixology classes. We have a bar, a little tour center in the front, big, beautiful distillery in the back with a restaurant attached, about a 300-seat restaurant, and then this really cool porch and about 1,000-person outdoor music venue down below in the woods. It's really, really terrible place to work. I hate going there every day.
Yeah, you got a rough life, man.
Yeah. So no, it's a beautiful place. So definitely plan to come visit. In fact, I reached out to a few people that were posting some stuff down at the Bourbon Classic in Louisville. Some folks I connected with, and I was like, "You guys, we're an hour and a half north." So I've actually got some folks coming up tomorrow. It's gonna be pretty cool. So
nice. Well,
yeah.
I can tell you, if Hard Truth was in Kentucky, it would be the best distillery to tour by far. It wouldn't even be close, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you, man. It's we don't, there's a couple things. We don't really have the restrictions based on history. There are a lot of those restrictions that are in current distilleries in Kentucky are based on historical. Like a lot of times they're dry counties where these distilleries were. So they could make a ton of alcohol but not drink any of it. So definitely go see all those distilleries. They're great. Nothing knocking them, but we've got a unique thing going on. So on top of the experience part, we've got a big, beautiful custom Vendome continuous column, 14-inch continuous column. So similar to the same one that Kentucky Peerless has. So we're making, that column makes incredible juice. We're a 100% sweet mash distillery. Everything we lay down is sweet mash. We've got about 4 rye mash bills and 4 bourbon mash bills, maybe a 1 or 2 experimentals here and there. And then this year we're going to be releasing some barrel finished expressions. We're going to be releasing a completely new mash bill that we've never released before. And then at the end of the year, just like we did this past year, we'll release the Master Distillers Reserve series, which, the goal is to, I'm going to hand select a handful of barrels, 2 or 3 different mash bills, put them out in a special offering, limited offering at the end of every year.
Okay.
This
So
particular one was only a couple hundred cases for all of our states. So
that's what I was going to ask. So the Master Distiller Select, you're going to release those every year.
yes,
Awesome.
yes,
Awesome,
different
man.
mash bills. I'm going to find some unique things, and we'll throw it in there. And it ends up that only depending on the state, most states are only getting 15, 30 cases for the entire state of each expression. So it's kind of one of those, when they land, you got to go find them.
Yeah, and it's like a blend of 8 to 10 barrels or something, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
How's the new rick house coming? Last time I was down there, you guys were building new rick houses, and
yeah, it's finished. We've got the barrels in it.
oh, do you?
It's about a 10,000 barrel house. It'll be full by the middle of next year. We had to end up building a lake to support the fire suppression on the property. We didn't have enough water on the property. Then the lake kind of got out of hand, so now we've got a tour we're going to start this year on the lake that's going to be related to our toasted coconut rum. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be pretty
Heck yeah.
fun. Uh,
Well, one of the things we'll talk. I'll have you talk about this sweet mash process, but I mean, every time we've been there and we've tasted the distillate straight off the still, I mean, it is so tropical, and I'm in love with it, and it really comes through in the ryes you've been blending. So, for those that may not know the difference between sour mash and sweet mash process and what makes you guys unique, I know there's a couple other distilleries that do the sweet mash process, but not a lot. You want to quickly just kind of explain that process?
I will, sure. And I mean, the simple, I think kind of a simple way to look at it is, with sweet mashing, every single mashing, we're starting with fresh grain, fresh water, and fresh yeast. That's in its simplest form. That's what
Mhm.
we're doing now. In order to maintain consistency and hygiene and not lose batches for bacteria making vinegar instead of yeast making alcohol, we have to put in place some pretty unique sanitation procedures and special equipment to prepare for that. But we had some great partners. I got to know the guys at Wilderness Trail really well, and they were very, very helpful. And really, of course, we put our own spin on it. But when I tasted their sweet mash rye whiskey that hadn't been released yet, it was their oldest whiskey was like 2 years old, and they took me in the rick house and poked a barrel and let me try it, and it really just blew my mind. So that was the inspiration to where I knew that we wanted to do something with sweet mash. Then just so happened that our size still, the water that we have, our farmers' grains that we use, has really created a really unique flavor profile that's not really that you don't find really anywhere else. Which as a whiskey maker, that's kind of what your ultimate goal is, to have something that's a unique flavor profile.
Yeah, I mean, I get so excited when I taste something that's unlike anything on the market, and there is not anything like that tastes like Hard Truth's rye on the market, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
and you mentioned the new make coming off the still on those tropical notes. I mean, really, that isn't something that I tasted at Wilderness Trail or really anywhere else. There's something about the combination of our place and the ingredients in the water and then the sweet mash process. But you're right, the distillate, and it really goes across all of our ryes and all of our bourbons. So when we release our bourbon, you guys will be able to taste how that expresses itself in bourbon, which it's delicious. But whenever the new make has got almost like a guava or a mango kind of tropical fruit, big burst of tropical fruit on the front, which as it sits in the barrel changes, for me at least, to a lot of stone fruit and peaches,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
then some complex sugars and butterscotch and whatnot.
Yeah, butterscotch is always like the biggest note I get, but when we were down there last tasting through barrels, you talked about jamminess, and since you've
Hmm.
put that in my head, I mean, I cannot get that out of my head.
Yeah,
There's
especially
such a
that
good
malted
jamminess to it.
that
Oh, yeah.
malted rye for sure is, for me, it's a real jammy fruit.
Yeah, it's so delicious, man. Oh,
Thanks.
yeah, I'm just excited that, you guys are when did Hard Truth when did you guys start? What year was it?
Yeah, so we got our license and had a couple of pretty pretty interesting pot stills to start with. and we started distilling in 2015.
Okay.
And really, if you have any of your people listening have been to Little Nashville in Bryan County, our sister company has a pizza restaurant right on the main drag of Little Nashville. And the distillery was actually in a little tiny room right above the pizza restaurant that was about 900 square feet. So that's where we got started.
Wow.
And we got started with, not only a couple of very unique stills, but some used beer equipment for our mashing and fermentation. So it was it's kind of like when you start with, if we started with the top of the line equipment, maybe we wouldn't have tried so hard, but we had to really work hard on the front end. So so now, we were there until our first run on the new system was fall of 2018.
Fall of 2018. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, us whiskey nerds, there's a couple things that, we hear of a place in Indiana and we kind of go, oh, I hope it's not MGP. And then
Right.
we also think, well, if it's a newer distillery, is there stuff super grain forward, or does it have a lot of like wood kind of crafty notes to it? And your stuff doesn't at all. It just blows me away. Even some of the rye we tasted at barely 2 years old is just unbelievable. It's so, I know rye ages a little better, faster, but and your bourbons are the same way. We did a pick with A1, and the bourbon that we picked is just so fruity. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and that distillate, the sweet mash distillate going into the barrel, there's really not, because in a barrel you're looking for, the addition of the oak, subtraction of off flavors, and then reduction of the liquid and, oxidization from the angel share process. Essentially that's what you're looking for in a barrel. But with the sweet mash distillate going in, the quality is so good that we really don't need a lot of subtraction. So, whereas, normally a whiskey might need 6 to 8 years in a barrel to get some of those off flavors out of the whiskey. We don't really have any off flavors to get out of the whiskey. So then it just becomes a matter of like, when does that distillate and the wood meet at the perfect moment? So we really love the flavor of this rye whiskey at, 2.5 to 3.5 years old. I don't think that ultimately that's going to be the final destination year, age for it. I really think it'll be more in the 3 to 4 to maybe 5 year for some of them. And our bourbon, we're going to let go a little bit longer. But it's exciting to taste it so young and have it taste so great,
Yeah, it blows me away. And I didn't know I could be more in love with your sweet mash rye. And then you came out with these malted ryes, and I'm like, my goodness.
Those are fun. I was really excited about them coming out. And I'll be honest with you, I've had my favorite amongst the three of them has changed a couple different times. So
yeah. I've been tasting through them, and we'll get into them.
Yeah, sure.
Brett Curris said you had me at Holler.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys have not been down there, I mean, they have a beautiful little cabin that we stayed at on site. That's, I don't know, I assume that thing is booked a lot most of the time, but it's gorgeous. You can walk right over to the restaurant, have dinner, do ATV tours, moonshine tours. I mean, it's just a beautiful, great place to stay. I'm in love with it.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get Ben and Ed in here, and then we can start pouring these and taste through them. Let me get that off. Go. What's up, Ben and Ed?
Hello,
how's
fellas.
it going?
How are you guys?
We're doing good.
You're good today?
Doing good.
Excited for these malted ryes. Big time. Can't wait.
Yeah, now you guys had you guys got to go down to Hard Truth with us, and we had a great time down there with Bryan, tasting through barrels, and Bryan almost killing us on an ATV. And
how was that?
I do a good job of that. I mean, I warn people when I take them out. I'm like, I really don't know where I'm going, and they think I'm joking around, but I really don't.
No, it was for real, Bryan. You did it upright, man. It was great.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Bryan, I don't know if you, I assume you can say where Brett wanted to know where you get your barrels from.
Sure, yeah. So we get our barrels from Independent Stave. They're based out of Lebanon. They have a cooperage in Lebanon, Kentucky, and a cooperage in Lebanon, Missouri. They've got cooperages all around the world, but that's their main two cooperages for their whiskey barrels. And actually, Chad and Andrew at Independent Stave really helped to work with us very one-on-one to create some real custom, unique char and toast combinations that are then proprietarily ours now, that they only make for us. So that, you're always wanting to do something to help give you some additional differentiation. And so they took our new make and really helped us shape the flavor of what the wood was going to contribute to it in a real specific way. So love working with those guys. And then we also get some barrels from West Virginia, Great Barrel Company. Out of they're in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Great little cooperage. They're relatively new, but man, they're making some fantastic barrels.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. You guys want to pour this first one? We'll start with oh, I grabbed the wrong bottle. Let's start with just the malted rye. Is that what you would suggest, Brian? Or does
you guys
it matter?
do it however you want to, my friend.
Let's go malted rye, caramel malted rye, and we'll finish with the chocolate because that one's so unique. And but let's start with the malted rye. I will let me play this little video so you guys know what we're working with here. And then Brian, if you want, you guys can, or you can kind of just explain what the inspiration was behind starting these. So
you bet.
Play this for you guys. According to Hard Truth's website, the malted rye sweet mash rye is a remarkable expression of 100% rye whiskey, showcasing the incredible depth and richness that can only come from the malting process. It has a mash bill of 54% rye, 46% malted rye, and batch 1 is a small batch blend of 10 barrels, coming in at a proof of 112.2. Dude, every time I shoot your bottles, I just fall more in love with your corks.
I'll tell you what, you do an amazing job of your photography and video of them, man. They look great. Aren't those corks cool? So I heard in your review, you said that they kind of looks like the bark edge of the cork tree. It actually is the bark edge of the cork tree. So that's why each one is unique, completely unique.
I thought that it was down there. Yeah, I thought that it was, but I was like, I don't want to say this and it not be true. So and I didn't want to blow up your phone and ask you such a silly question.
No, it's all good, man. And it's funny because they in the cork making process, they kind of discard that part of it. They cut that little edge off. So we ask our cork producer, where we are, there's a lot of, we use a lot of live edge furniture because we're out in the woods. And so I had this thought of a really rustic top, and I asked our cork producer if they could experiment and do something with it. And they sent me a couple of those samples, and I was like, man, you guys nailed it.
Yeah, they did. It's unbelievable. Yeah. All right. So what was the inspiration behind starting these malted ryes?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. So, the malting process is essentially taking a grain and wetting it down to where it germinates, and it starts to put out its first little shoot. And then you apply heat and air to essentially kill the germination. So during that germination process, there are all these enzymes created that help with starch conversion, which is originally why they did it in the first place. But also it creates a lot of, to me, it's kind of some complex bready flavors, but not yeast really, but just kind of like it's hard to describe, but like when you think of a malted milkshake, I mean those kind of rounded, almost dairy bready notes. So when you add that in with the intense sweetness that also comes from the malting process, it adds just some really nice layers of complexity. So for this one, my original idea was to do 100% malted rye, where the grain was just going to be 100% malted rye. Well, just so you know, malted rye, the grain itself is extremely expensive. I mean, like really, really, really expensive. And we run, fairly big mash, 2,500 gallon mash. So we're running about 5,500 pounds of grain per mash in. So, when you're running with a grain that's like 8 times as expensive as everything else you run, you got to really think about it. So what I did was I did one mash in of 100% malted rye, and then I did a few mashes, bringing that percentage and marrying it with actual just regular rye grain. And so I found this really nice balance at about 54% rye, 46% malted rye, where I felt that the malted rye, did its best job of contributing to the whiskey. So you're going to get, it's 100% rye, so it's going to be a nice spicy, whiskey like you'd expect from a rye that's 100%. But then the layers of complexity, obviously you get that big bright sweetness that you get from all of our sweet mash whiskeys, but then that complexity of that malted rye contribution is really prevalent.
Yeah, it's like you just took your sweet mash rye and just added more complexity and some darker, richer flavors to it.
Yes, way more rich.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. What are you guys picking up on this?
That's a cinnamon roll in a glass without that overwhelming sweetness. It's a really good, like, doughy cinnamon malted milk ball. It's freaking amazing. God, it's good.
That's awesome.
Man,
I love the cinnamon roll, because that kind of that doughy nature of a really good cinnamon roll, is something that's hard to replicate that flavor.
Without all that overpowering sugar that you get. It's like if you took a cinnamon roll and just used cinnamon, dough, and maybe a little bit of honey. That's what I'm getting on this malted.
I like that.
But it's still got, it feels like it still has the DNA of the other sweet mash rye, It's you can pick up those tropical notes a little bit, the jamminess. I even got a little bit of like a leather note to it that I when I reviewed it. And like Brett's like Ed's saying with that bread note, it's some kind of yeasty bread note in there that sometimes I'll pick up on on a beer, but I don't want to turn people off and think that, it's not in an off-putting way at all.
Well, so if you think about beer making, I mean, with beer, they're using in varying, but mostly it's 100% malted barley of some kind.
Right.
So, in beer making, all the grains have been malted. So there definitely is going to be, you're going to get that connection, and I don't think it as a bad way at all. I mean,
yeah,
I will say this though, I've still not tasted a beer barrel aged whiskey that I loved. I've tasted a couple that I liked, and I want that to be a great pairing. And I know there's a possibility of it. There's probably one out there that I haven't tried that's great, but I've just not tried one yet I like.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know if that was intentional, since you're, the parent company owns Quaffon, the brewery. So I didn't know if that was intentional by you or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think playing with beer grains, I mean, we're obviously not the first ones to do it. There's some other stouted whiskeys out there. They call them stouted whiskeys that use the chocolate malt, or so we're not the first to do it. But I think that, having the knowledge from the brewery on exactly how to treat those grains and in what percentage, and how to get the best flavors from them, you can't just, whiskey's pretty, making whiskey's a little bit more crude as far as temperature and the way that you mash. Beer is far more delicate of a process. So, we do have the equipment and the expertise to be able to treat those malted grains the way they should be treated.
Yeah. Mark said oatmeal cookie cork. That's hilarious, because I have this beautiful picture I took of just the top of the cork, and it's on this photography book I have, and everybody thinks it's an oatmeal cookie when they see it.
Oh, that's funny.
What are you getting, Ben?
Let's
hear from Ben down there in the corner.
Yeah, what are you getting? Ben's a little slower. He's got to take his time,
Yeah, more delicate. For me, the fruitiness came out more for me, and it wasn't like a specific fruit, but when you mentioned like tropical, it is just very dense. And when I took that first initial sip, the one thing that I really appreciate about Hard Truth is it's unique. Like, I don't drink a lot of Hard Truth stuff often, but when I do, I'm like, this is different. And it's tough to really like put your finger on exactly what it is, which is I was trying to think about, but it's very well balanced. You do get that spiciness, but for me, I was gravitating more to the fruity, like the dense fruit, kind of jammy, like y'all talked about earlier.
Right.
Well, one thing that will never cease to amaze me is how you can get the viscosity you get out of a 2 and 3 year old product.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this thing coats like it's 12 years old. It's amazing.
Thank you. And I think a lot of that is tuning the still. You know, some people think of column still whiskey as being thin or thinner than pot still whiskey, which obviously, you know, it's easier to make a heavier bodied whiskey out of a pot still. But, you know, Vendome has got these stills. They know what they're doing with these stills. And if you spend your time tuning the still, you can really coax a lot of flavors out of that whiskey that typically don't come from a column still. So when I talk about our still being a 14-inch Vendome continuous column, it's 14 inches in diameter. So, you know, it's about that big around. And then we're bringing mash down the top of it, and it's going and hitting all those trays on the way down and hitting the sides. So if you think about in the bigger distilleries, you know, their columns are 72 inches wide, you know, 36 to 72 inches wide, some of them even bigger than that. And so they are absolutely just, you know, blasting mash down those stills. It makes great whiskey, but I think as far as body and viscosity, a lot of that has to do with how you treat it through the still. I mean, fermentation has to be right, mashing has to be right, but you can thin a whiskey out in the still pretty quickly if you're not careful.
Interesting. Joe Carter said, "Will the malted rye be distributed also, or distillery only?"
No, they are distributed, but only in about 5 or 6 states, I believe. So if you go to hardtruth.com, we've got one of those little spirit finder widgets. It's not always perfect. So the best thing for you to do, if you're someone looking for these, help a brother out, go to your favorite liquor store and say, hey, heard about this Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye, whichever one, and ask them to bring it in. Because, you know, getting that kind of pull from the market is what helps us get the whiskeys that we want into the accounts that we want. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
I said in my review today, like people are chasing all these allocated ryes, and I mean, these are, I go to this stuff all the time. I love it.
Thank you.
Chuck asked, where can I buy Hard Truth in Chambana? So I believe Benny's is carrying your stuff now, right?
They are. I'm not sure if they've got, you know, so the Illinois Spirit Finder is pretty accurate, I've found most recently.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where you put in your zip code, and then you can actually choose which item, and it'll tell you where you can find them.
Yeah. The 2 stores that I really love in the area would be Harvest Market. Ray at Harvest Market, I know carries Hard Truth stuff, but I just talked to him today, and he hadn't got the malted ryes, but I think he might be getting some.
Great.
And then A1 in Effingham, which is a little bit of a further drive, but definitely worth it. And I did hear somebody say that they had seen at least the chocolate malted rye in Benny's, I believe. So
yes,
I'm 35 minutes from you, Bryan, so I can come get it whenever.
There you go. Come on anytime you want, buddy.
We love that. We love that place. My fiance and I's 3rd date was at Hard Truth, and
awesome.
We actually were down there with another couple, and actually 2 other couples, and they hadn't done the ATV tour, but we had done it. And we're like, you guys go ahead. We know you can only put 4 in. So one of your tour guides took us on a hike, and we did this like mile hike and came back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Said, what's that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we came back, and she said, well, we've got like 30 minutes. What do you guys want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. She says, come on, let's go see what they got going on, and we'll give you a little backstage. I know that we're coming out, and I'm not supposed to say it. We're coming out with this new Sweet Mash Rye. And we're like, all right, cool. So we got to go in the distillery when you bottled like the first 11 cases of your sweet mash.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It was so cool, and
that's awesome.
We've been fans ever since 2020, big time.
We've got great people working there. I'm glad to hear that's the experience you had. You know, we always say if you can't have fun working with us or coming to visit the property, you just can't have fun.
I mentioned on Lance's review, I said the Hard Truth experience crushes anything in Kentucky I've been to. It just it's so far over and above, and I mean you have so many options. Yeah. It's a weekend. It's not just 2 hours. You can do a whole weekend at your spot.
You can, and when the weather starts getting nice, the music venue part of it starts to fire up, and we've got some great concerts coming up this summer, so it's going to be great.
Awesome.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot on the channel, but one of everybody's bucket list item is to do a barrel pick, and you guys have the ability to do a barrel pick. Anybody that comes in, what do you have, like 6 barrels there or something?
Yeah, so we do. So we've got actually a single barrel experience. It's a tour. So even if you're just you can literally walk in there tomorrow at 12 o'clock and noon and say, hey, I want to do a single barrel pick. And you sign up for it as a tour. You go with the tour guide. They walk you through a proper single barrel pick through the whole thing. It takes about an hour. You get to taste all these whiskeys. You pick your favorite. And then at the end, as part of the tour expense, you get to walk away with the single barrel bottle that you picked that's only available there at the distillery.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. That was a brainstorm by one of my partners. That's what I love about working with the folks I work with is, you know, we're not stuck. You know, there's a lot of amazing things about, you know, the history and stuff of the distilleries that have been around forever, but we're not stuck in that paradigm. We can kind of do anything we want. So I love that they think outside the box on that stuff.
Yeah, and we were talking before the live stream, but some people watching this will be super excited who are members of Barrels for Hope because we haven't announced it yet. We've kind of hinted at it in Discord, but we did secure our second barrel pick of the year is going to be with Hard Truth. So
yeah, I'm so excited to have you guys out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're gonna. I'm waiting to hear how many people we can bring, but part of the whole experience, Bryan, was we wanted to start a barrel club where people could join and ensure that if they were in it, they got a bottle of every pick we did. So we had to limit the number of people we could do.
Sure.
And then everything we wanted to give back to charity. We didn't want to make any profit whatsoever on it. So we set up a 501c3 and which Joe Carter helped us out with, and he's been amazing and got that through. So now we've got everything in place, and Narav with A1 is helping us curate picks. And so we found out our second pick is going to be with you guys because Narav knows what a big fan I am of Hard Truth. And I'm so excited to share Hard Truth with people who, you know, that are in states that it's not distributed to. But then also the biggest part is every pick we select about 4 members randomly to go on the pick with us and help do the selection. And then we pay their lodging while they're there. So
that's awesome. That's going to be fun, man. These single barrels that we've set aside are some bangers. You guys are going to have a great time.
Yeah, I can't wait. And there's so many people in Barrels for Hope that, you know, are excited because they hear Whiskey Tube talking about Hard Truth, but just haven't been able to get their hands on it yet. So it'll be a lot of fun. So, all right. You guys want to pour the second one, the caramel malt?
Oh, we're into it.
All right, hold on. Let me give everybody the stats here. According to Hard Truth's website, the Hard Truth Master Distillers Reserve Caramel Malt Sweet Mash Rye Whiskey, or RW4, brings the caramel corn and sticky toffee notes of caramel malted barley to match with the whiskey's inherent sweetness and rye spice. The mash bill is 51% rye, 38% corn, 11% malted barley. RW4 Batch 1 is a small batch blend of 8 barrels and comes in at a proof of 117.4. What do you guys think about this one? This one's so ridiculous to me. It almost gives me chills. It's so good.
So this, spoiler alert, this is my favorite one as well of the group. But I will tell you that this whiskey took a really interesting journey. It's tasted good because, we, especially for our first releases on these, we've been evaluating them pretty heavy along the way. But this one made a tremendous turn at late summer of this past year, this particular whiskey, because I wasn't sure. I was just going to do the chocolate malt and the malted rye because I wanted to maybe give this one more season. And man, it made some kind of turn at the end of the summer, and we were all like, because I mean, you guys, that's the highest proof of all three. It's at 117 point something. It drinks way under that. And the complex sugars in it are just, for me, it's sticky toffee. It's like caramel corn. I love letting people who always say to me, we get folks in our distillery a lot of times, and they'll say, oh, I'm not. They'll ask for a bourbon. And I'll say, well, our sweet mash bourbon isn't out yet, but have you tried our sweet mash rye? And they'll say, oh, I'm not a rye guy. And those are my favorite people. I'll break this whiskey out, and I'm like, you should definitely try this one. And it certainly opens their mind as to what rye whiskey can be.
Man, it's so ridiculous. I get the biggest note for me on this is like there's that butterscotch, a little bit of the tropical, but it's darker, more complex than the malted rye. But then there's this like very dense, buttery shortbread cookie note that I just can't get out of my head. That's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's a fat kid's dream, man.
Well, and this is this and the chocolate malt are the only ryes that we've got out in the market that have corn in them. So this will give you a little bit of a preview as to which direction our bourbon is going, because this is 51% rye, 38% corn, and 11% caramel malted barley. So there's 38% corn in there is a fairly decent amount. So I've got some mash bills that are kind of almost just the opposite, 51 corn, 38 rye, and then some of the caramel malted barley on our bourbon side of things. So there's going to be some kind of, what you're tasting now in that is a lot of the same flavors that I'm currently tasting in our bourbon moving forward.
Oh, wow. Amazing. It's good, right, Ed?
If that's where your bourbon's going, Brian.
Yeah.
Whatever, B-Tac. Who cares?
I wouldn't even care if this stayed exactly like it is, because we tasted when we were in your rick house, we tasted a lot of the caramel malted barrels, and I think that they were really good, but this is another level. Like, your blending is just amazing.
I would love to take the credit for that. I mean, obviously we've got a lot of people that are on our team that are great at helping out with that. But really, Lance, it was a matter of the whiskey taking the turn from the last time you guys were there till now.
Okay.
Because we didn't find, it wasn't like we found, 10 magical barrels. I mean, they were all amazing. And in fact, the only reason really why we only released that small amount is because our original distillation of this 3 years ago, we didn't distill that many barrels of it, so. Now, as we've tasted through, obviously we've kicked it into full production, so we're producing a lot more of it now.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's a great whiskey.
It's so good, man. I love it. I would drink this stuff all the time if I had more of it.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, you guys have a pretty solid relationship with Kroger, right?
We do. The Kroger's been a really good partner for us. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, because I see it all the time in all the Krogers around here. I mean, they've got the sweet mash all the time, and I'm hoping they have the malted ryes in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, where those landed, it's hard for me to tell, because I believe we had 30 cases in the state of Indiana, maybe like 15 cases of each in Illinois. I mean, there really wasn't a lot. So, and then, obviously once this is gone, I don't know what we're going to necessarily put out at the end of next year. So, I mean, I'm not trying to create some sort of, false demand. I'm telling you the facts, which are there's not a lot of this whiskey on the market. So if you want it, I would search it down and buy you a bottle.
Do you have it at the distillery?
We do. Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
We do.
Awesome.
I'm drinking them compared to I'm going baseline with sweet mash.
Yeah.
And then drinking them against each other, and the viscosity again of all of these just blows me away. But that caramel is like kettle corn with toasted coconut.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting
toasted coconut.
a bunch of coconut on it, and it reminds me a little bit of the coconut notes I get with seagrass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I could see that.
And that's
interesting.
I mean, I'm with you, Lance. This stuff needs to go in the bunker. This
Yeah.
is phenomenal. Oh my God. You guys
What do you think? What do you think, Ben? You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm still thinking. It's good. It's I'm not as big of a like caramel caramel corn. Like I'm not as big of a fan on that, and so I am getting more of that on here. And so I'm trying to compare it with the other one, because I think the thing I liked with the other one was it was a little less of that. Now, obviously, if you love that note, you're going to love this, and it's really good. It's just not my favorite note.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to taste. When I thought about doing this review, or not this taster, but the actual review on the channel, I was going to do them individually, but I thought people would just get so much more out of tasting them, me tasting them in a flight, so I could compare and contrast everything.
Well, and one of my favorite things about this lineup that we've, the choices that we made at the beginning and still continue to is, MGP has basically 2 rye mash bills. Most people, have 1 or 2 rye mash bills, maybe just 1, and that's their mash bill they stick with. Because of our scale and our size, I knew that we weren't going to be able to feed a huge pipeline with our current system. So my idea and my thought on both the bourbon and the rye is I want to kind of pull one direction and the other direction with the ryes and the bourbons to give people a flavor experience that's all the way over here, all the way in the middle, and then all the way over here. And so, I love all the whiskeys, but what you get when you get that is that you get some people who absolutely, love those notes, and other people, it's not their favorite of them. And that's great. I mean, I love that, because then that lets me know, because all of our palates are so different. The things that we're preloaded to like or dislike, or whatever you're feeling for the day or whatever, changes pretty drastically. So I knew it from the start. I didn't want to lock us into one lane. I didn't want to limit us in that way. So that's what's fun about all these different mash bills. Is every time I do a tasting, I was just at the Louisville Bourbon Society on Monday and tasted through with those folks. And I mean, the room was split on who liked what the best. You know what I mean? It was really, I love seeing that. It makes me happy.
Yeah, I think that's what's great, and I think some whiskey people are funny. They act like you've insulted their mom if you don't like the same thing, which is just funny to me. And I've never been like, I mean, Ben's told me, like, I've done picks and Ben's like, this tastes like shit. I'm like, that's okay, man. If you don't like it, that's fine. You're wrong, but that's fine.
You've never said that, Lance. Never.
Yeah, Ben will definitely tell you what he thinks. That's for sure.
I love it.
That's good.
No, it's great. I love it.
Going back to the first one, I was trying to figure out what that fruitiness was that I was picking up, and it reminds me of like Pez, like a powdery fruitiness. So it's not like a specific fruit that I have in mind, but I'm getting it's interesting. I like that more than the caramel and the other one. Still both really good, but
the nose, when you go back to the malted rye after it's been sitting out for about 15 minutes, the nose is unreal.
It is. Yep.
Golly. Good.
So on the lines of Pez, one of my partners, Tim, I think you guys met Tim O'Brien, his favorite tasting note with beer that he always looks for is fruit stripe gum. And he's that's like his favorite tasting note. If he can ever find fruit stripe gum in something, he's the happiest guy I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
All right, you guys ready to move on to the chocolate?
Oh man, I was nosing that. That thing is a ride and a half.
All right, hold on.
This one's the great divider. This is
Yep.
like This one's like cilantro.
Yeah. That's a great
It's
call.
either soap or it isn't, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Hold on just a second.
When you talk about a lot of the bourbons or whiskeys that I've had that have been finished in like stout barrels, that's what I'm getting here.
Oh,
yeah, I can definitely see that.
Like a similar vibe with this one.
I'll play these stats real quick. According to Hard Truth's website, the Master Distillers Reserve Chocolate Malt Sweet Mash Rye Whiskey, or RW3, brings the deep roasted chocolate espresso notes from chocolate malted barley to play with the sweetness of corn and the nice baking spice of rye grain. This expression has a mash bill of 51% rye, 38% corn, and 11% chocolate malted barley. RW3 Batch 1 is a small batch blend of 8 barrels and comes in at a proof at 109.6. This one, Bryan, you caused me to add a uniqueness bonus point to my scoring system because
I love it.
I feel like I couldn't drink a lot of this, but if I'm in the mood and I know exactly what I'm drinking, I mean, I'm freaking in love with this because there's nothing like this. I mean, if you love dark chocolate and espresso beans, I mean, that's this in spades for me.
Yeah. Brownie batter. I get some brownie batter, Dutch cocoa. I will tell you that I'm a terrible bartender, but I tried and tried because I knew there was an old fashioned that couldn't be made of this. That would be something that I would want to drink every day. And I couldn't get to it. It made me really frustrated. Then we had someone who was a bartender at our tours and tasting center. And she said, randomly one day we were doing something. She said, "Hey, I want you to try something." Came up with a really great old fashioned with the chocolate malt. And I said, "Oh, good." And I mean, she absolutely nailed it. And it was, I want to say it was, she used brown sugar instead of, a regular sugar cube. There was no cherry. It was an orange expression. And then I believe she used, so there's a company called The Bitter Truth, and they had some really limited bitters they put out last year called wood bitters. And so it was wood bitters, orange expression, and brown sugar, muddled with this chocolate malt rye. And you guys, it was, like whenever someone gets a cocktail perfectly balanced, it was absolutely just knocked my socks off.
Well, I said that in my review. I said this would be amazing, and I bet you could create some ridiculous cocktails with this.
Oh yeah.
And somebody, I knew somebody was going to be mad that I suggested using it in cocktails, but I'm like, I'm sorry. The better the whiskey, the better the cocktails. It's
no question. And I mean, if you want to enhance a whiskey, and it's a good whiskey, make a good old fashioned.
Yeah.
Then you've elevated, and I'm stoked to find this and put that in old fashions because the dryness on it, man, it dries your palate out right now.
Yeah, like dark chocolate would, right? Like
real, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. It's like it reminds me when you open a bag of coffee beans and you smell the coffee beans, but you're also smelling like the bag as well, or even like a burlap bag of how they ship the coffee beans. Yeah, I get a lot of that.
I like that.
Ben, I knew you were gonna like this
jam right here.
Yeah, because we did a Balcones rye pick with A1 this is much better than the Balcones rye in my opinion, but it had that same similar like very dark chocolate espresso bean flavors and Ben loved it. So I thought this was going to be your favorite one when I sent these samples.
Yeah, this is easily my favorite. Yeah. It's
there's some folks that on Monday there were 3 people in particular that had a very enthusiastic love for this whiskey, and I got it one particularly aggressive hug based on the love for it. But but then there are a few people who will tell me, and they will have absolutely no problem saying, "Not for me." So it's really the only one that we've released so far where I've had a few people that say not for me, but there's enough people who love it just like in this really strange way that I know that we're onto something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yep.
at 11% chocolate malted barley. That's a pretty good amount. And so you think it's chocolate malt is the same that you use to give Guinness its nice roasty flavor and its dark
Yeah, that's a
color.
good
So
call.
you're going to get those nice roasted coffee notes on this.
If you want to pair that with a perfect dessert pairing, pair that with tiramisu, and it would be off the chart.
That would
Love
be
it.
right.
Because
Yeah.
that is the dark, like Ben said, you get that coffee dust, that coffee on your tongue, but then you get the sweet. Yeah, I may have to do that. Man, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's almost like you're not drinking. It's like you're drinking a liqueur. Like that's what it feels like, and
What-
that's
Close to it without so much of that like artificial sweetness that you don't
Right.
think, God dang, did they put something in this? It's so coffee, dark chocolate.
What's the proof on this one?
This one is
109.
109.6.
Oh, that's that's the freaking sweet spot proof right there.
Yeah.
Right around 110, that's money.
Well, and think about, if if you got friends over, if you're doing a whiskey flight, or if you're going through like, here, let's try this, having this as something in there to really kind of, turn the flight on its head, or give everybody a minute to really think about something different. That's what I love about this whiskey for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't want to taste the same thing every day. And this is so unique. All of your stuff. I said in my review, like I could have given all these malted ryes probably a bonus point for uniqueness because there's nothing else like it. And there's nothing off-putting. It's just so good, man. For 2-year whiskey, it makes me excited, man. I'm excited to see what you guys do. Even if you stopped here, it'd be great, but I know you got a lot more things coming. So
oh yeah, a lot of things coming.
Yeah, that's the thing about a lot of craft distilleries is that they're some of them are doing some unique things, but you still taste the youth, and like that's the thing that kind of sucks because it diminishes a little bit what they're doing. But with this stuff, it's unique, and none of us have mentioned, oh, it's youthful. Oh, there's a youthful note. It's none of that.
Well, thank you, and I thank you for that. That's a big compliment. One of the decisions we made from the start, and everybody does different things. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's great whiskeys that have come out of smaller profile barrels, but that was one of the decisions we were going to make, is we weren't going to go with a smaller barrel. Not even like for part of our production. We wanted to stick with a 53-gallon barrel. We wanted to stick with Vendome equipment. So we wanted our equipment and our barrels to be kind of in the sweet spot in the industry, but then we wanted to play with other parts of it to be inventive. So, because to me, when you start messing around with, either stills that aren't, I mean, I'll tell you what, the Vendome copper and brass works, I can't say enough. The stills were not cheap, but I mean, absolutely bar none, best investment we made. They have run perfectly from day one with a lot of help from we've got great engineers. They don't tell you how to run them, but I mean, the equipment is incredible, and it makes great whiskey. I mean, you really got to work hard to make bad whiskey on those stills. I'm convinced of it.
Wow. So Mark had a super chat. He said, how is the malt made, as chocolate or caramel versus simple malted?
That's a great question. So think about this the exact same way that you'd think about roasting a coffee bean. So you've got a coffee bean, a green coffee bean. You start to roast it. You go into the blonde roast, right? And then you take it a little bit farther and you get into like a light medium, and then a medium, and then a medium dark, and then a dark, and then an Italian roast. And that comes from just continuing to apply more heat and time. So over time, it just keeps getting darker, or like making a roux. If anybody here makes gumbo, you're making a roux, you just keep stirring it, and that flour gets darker and darker and darker. So this malted barley, same thing. They sprout it, they dry it to kill the germination, and then they continue to roast it. So there's it's called, in the beer world, it's called C60, which is the caramel malt roast. So that's been roasted about halfway between blonde and chocolate. So then you keep roasting it, keep going. Then you get into like, milk chocolate, then medium chocolate, and then dark chocolate, and then burnt toast. I mean, you can take it all the way. So the flavor difference between the caramel malt and the chocolate malt, those two whiskeys have the exact same ingredients in the exact same ratio. It's just that 11% of that malted barley was roasted farther for the chocolate malt.
Man, and you explaining that, it makes, I mean, chocolate malt is like creeping up as my favorite.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. So I know you get your corn from a local farmer, right?
Yes.
Are the other grains from local, or do you have to?
So we get some of our rye from a local farmer down in southwestern Indiana. We're working with him for him to grow more for us, and so I'm working on that relationship. So some of our rye comes from an Indiana farmer. All of our corn comes from Doug Miller, which is his farm's very close to the distillery. They've been growing grains for the distilling industry for at least 3 generations. They grow great corn. He also has grown some of our wheat that we use for our wheated whiskeys. Our malted barley does come from our same grain supplier that supplies the brewery, but there are starting to be some maltsters now in the northern part of the state that are really come up with some good stuff. So, it's interesting when you talk about craft, Ben. Some of the choices you make are, do you want to keep these hard, rigid rules, that everything has to be from the state of Indiana? Well, if the best malted barley is grown in, Minnesota, maybe I want to do that. Unless your whole brand identity is all Indiana grain, which, obviously I would, and we actually have a whiskey coming out this year, which I can't talk about yet, but I'll give you a teaser, that is 100% Indiana grains grown by our 2 Indiana farmers. So that will be out this year. I mean, it's something that we want to do, but I'm not going to limit myself to that until I know that the quality is going to be exactly what I want at the end of the day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys ship online anywhere? Work with any online shippers? Or?
So we don't, but I've noticed that there are some out there that are in states apparently that do. So we don't do it internally. No, Indiana's kind of, those laws are all fairly gray anyways, and we're growing, and we don't want anything to we don't want to trip over our own feet. So we're going to leave that to the people that know what they're doing.
And as somebody that just started a 501c3, it's a pain in the ass, even just like staying up to date on them and figuring out. And you're like, and then we get, well, why aren't you shipping to our state? So-and-so ships to our state. And I'm like, well, that doesn't mean they're doing it legally.
I have had friends ship me bottles of alcohol, and it happens.
Oh man, I wish that it would just fix. It's so silly, man. But
yeah,
I don't know. Especially when you got to sign. If you're signing for the package and showing an ID, like what is the problem?
It's liquor laws, man. I mean, they're so hyper regional, state to state, county to county. Everybody's got different laws. I mean,
the way I think of it is cars are doing it. Like if I buy a car in Indiana, I pay Indiana taxes. It's not a big deal. Like what is the holdup?
Everybody wants their little piece, Lance.
I know.
There's a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money in it. Like with Texas, you have to buy liquor from a liquor store. You can't go to a grocery store. You can't go to a Kroger, a Harvest Market. Like it has to be a liquor store, and you can't buy liquor on Sundays, which is weird. But
yeah, they've got their lobbyists working hard over there.
Yeah,
Montana's the same way, and it's been that way ever since I can remember. All state owned. Can't buy prior to 10 a.m. Can't buy on Sunday. I mean, it is like it's like fishing. It's the slot limit, and that's it. That's all you're getting. So
yep.
But Indiana just opened up. What was it? I've been here 8 years, and I think they just started on Sundays about 4 years ago, Bryan, maybe?
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, Bryan, I know you've been here an hour, so I don't want to keep you, man, but thanks for tasting through these. Did you have anything Anything coming down the pipeline you can talk about, or?
Sure. We're in 20 states. We're getting ready to be in 22. We just opened up New York. We're going to be in California later this year. Been spending a bunch of time down in Texas. Love Texas. I'm going to be down there again on Thursday. So go to hardtruth.com, look for us, and ask your local retailer to bring us in. Helps a bunch. And Lance, thank you so much for having me. And Ed and Ben, great seeing you guys.
You too.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're looking forward to seeing you in April, hopefully, to do a barrel pick. So
sounds awesome.
Don't ever change your label colors, because those are my alma mater's original football uniform colors. 100 green and copper. I freaking love it. Love it.
I'm going to call those the Ed labels from now on.
That's awesome. Thanks, Brian.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brian. Take care, bud. I love that guy, man.
That guy's awesome.
He's such a good guy.
Dude, they're killing it.
Aren't they? Dude, they're like these. When he sent me these, I was like, I didn't know what. I mean, I knew because we had kind of tasted them in the Rick House, but I think the finished product is better than what we tasted in the Rick House.
Absolutely, yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah,
if you want to pour that bourbon sample.
Yeah, I'll get into this. I haven't even opened your box yet, so I'll get into it. So guys, we're gonna take some samples Ed sent us. So if you have questions or anything, feel free to post them in the chat. Let us know what you thought about the interview with Brian, and if you've had Hard Truth, I think some of you guys have already been posting. I know their distribution's a little bit limited right now, but man, if you see it, I'm telling you guys, get it, because I know how kind of gun shy people are with craft distilleries, but I promise you don't have to worry about that with these guys.
It seriously might be the best rye I've got on my shelf.
Yeah, and you made some killer cocktails with it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. It makes an unbelievable old fashioned. Makes a really good Manhattan. It's the, like you said, I mean, quality in, quality out. That's, if you go with a $10 rye, you're going to get a $10 cocktail. You get a $2 cocktail pretty much. So
Ben,
what was your favorite one? The chocolate for sure.
Chocolate for sure. Yeah.
And then the malted.
Yeah. The which one was it? The caramel. For me, that one was really sharp. It was it definitely was. It wasn't necessarily spice, but for me, it was very punchy, and that was something that turned me off a little bit. And then I'm just not a huge caramel guy, and so those two things were kind of the things that made that one fall a little bit for me. But man, the chocolate one was perfect.
I knew it before I sent it. As sure as I know Ed's gonna like something nutty, I knew you were gonna love that chocolate one.
I mean, that was it wasn't complex. Like, that's, if I had to give it a knock for something, like, when you drink it, you are getting like chocolate, coffee bean, dark chocolate. Like, that is what you're getting.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's not gonna take you for a ride at all, but it's kind of one of those that you don't need it to, because it is so strong in those notes. That's what I appreciate the most about it, is it's not like you're having to think to pick those out. It's hitting you in the face with that. So you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. Now,
for your guys' palates, is there anything on the market that you think tastes similar? Like, I don't think there's anything that tastes similar to their rye, but
no.
But I'm just one palate, so
yeah. The only note that I get has any similarity to anything is I get a toasted coconut on the caramel malt, and I get a coconut note when I drink seagrass. But as far as like, yeah, that's really similar, nothing. There's nothing out there.
Yeah, I did. When you said that coconut note, I got it, maybe power of suggestion, but now it's there. And I can definitely see the similarities to seagrass, but seagrass is a lot brighter to me. This is a lot richer.
Way richer.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is way younger than seagrass is, but it's richer, and if I tried them blind, I would guess it was older.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin asked a good question. Will our April barrel pick be a rye or bourbon from Hard Truth? So I secured us a sweet mash rye barrel. So we'll be picking a sweet mash rye.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And when we were there, he was like, and I think he kind of hinted at it tonight, like their stuff is so good at 2, 3, 4 years old. At least they're rye. I don't know that they need to age it much longer. It's really crazy.
It might dry it out and become tannic. I don't know. I mean,
it's a good problem to have though, because you can start to experiment more and see if you change a few things up, what does it look like 4 years, 6 years. But yeah, I would be interested to see. I wanted to ask the question, but I forgot. So he mentioned the different categories of roast, and I think the one that was the darkest was like an Italian roast or something like that, or espresso roast, like something like that. I wanted to see like what level did they use for the chocolate, because I want to see what the darkest tastes like. I want to see like what is that? Like, it could be terrible, but
I think they're right on the edge of it being good to turning to too much.
But yeah, I could absolutely see that. It just turns into just bitter. Yeah. Bitter.
Do you like Italian roast coffee, Ben?
I do tend to like darker. Yeah. I tend to.
Too.
For me, like that's where I feel like the flavor is. Like that's.
So my sister was a barista for like 6 years, and she was telling me about the different. And you guys may already know this, but the lighter the roast, the more the caffeine. The darker the roast, the less the caffeine. People think if you're drinking super bold dark coffee that it's loaded with caffeine, but it's not. An Italian roast is literally as close as you can get without drinking ash for coffee beans. It's right on the verge of basically scorching the bean, and you're done. Huh. So
yeah, it turns into a scotch. You're drinking a scotch, just that ashy note.
Yeah. Mark said the A1 bourbon pick is distilled in Kentucky. Can you say where it's from? So they do have an NDA, but if you go back and listen to the beginning of this, he talks about who he learned from.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of guess. There's only a couple of distilleries doing sweet mash, and it's Peerless, Hard Truth, and what's another one that's doing sweet mash?
Wilderness Trail.
Oh yeah, Wilderness Trail. So you guys take a guess. Take a guess where it was distilled.
Yeah, it's
and that was like the first barrel pick release they did. My understanding is those all there weren't many barrel picks, but those were all like in the beginning of the process, distilled in Kentucky. The barrel picks going forward, and the sweet mash rye and the malted rye, those things are all distilled in Indiana, aged in Indiana. It's all their own stuff. So while those are unique and cool because they weren't aged and distilled necessarily, well, they were aged partially in Indiana. I think they might have been aged in Kentucky. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, where those were aged. But the barrel picks we do, everything will be from Hard Truth in Indiana. And to be honest with you, their stuff that's distilled and aged in Indiana is better than the stuff distilled and maybe partially aged in Kentucky, in my opinion. So, did you guys pour the Hard Truth bourbon?
Yep. This one's not my favorite. It's not bad, but it's not. I don't think there's enough there that. Just like coming off of the heels of the other ones, it feels like there were things there that made them different. This one's good, but I'm not feeling anything different.
Yeah, it's fine. Like it doesn't have craft notes. Like I don't know what the age on this is. Do you, Ben?
It's 5. Okay,
it's 5.
Yep.
It has like a little like rounded texture. Like you can tell where it's going. That's nice. It's not grain forward, But like I think like what you're saying, Ben, is it doesn't stand out with originality like the ryes do.
Yeah.
Like if I taste a Hard Truth Rye blind, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to know what it is. It's that unique to me.
Yeah.
This I would probably go, oh, is that like a Bardstown Fusion or you know, I may not know what it is.
Right.
And you said 5 years, so this one was not aged by them.
No, this I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain this was their first recipe that was aged and distilled by
In Kentucky.
yes.
Yeah. So because you have a pick that like we did at A1, and all of those were distilled by someone else.
Right.
And I think they were aged there as well, but I'm not positive.
I think you're right, Lance. I do think, but I mean, as far as being their recipe just sent somewhere else because they didn't have the equipment, it's good. It's better than other craft bourbon that are coming out 3 to 5 years. I think it's better.
Like if you compared this to, well, let's just pick a newer distillery everybody's going crazy over that's dog shit, Hidden Barn.
Oh god.
I haven't had any of their stuff.
Oh, it's well, I mean, if you like grain forward whiskey, which some people do, you'll love it. But
what does that mean? Grain forward whiskey? It's like
it means it's dog shit.
It's what I'll tell you what I'll compare it to, and I have a bottle on my shelf. It's 10 times better than that Lee Sinclair from French Lick.
Yeah, Lee Sinclair. Yeah, Lee Sinclair's a good reference, especially like Fred Minnick talks really big about them. A lot of people love them. Yeah, it's very grain forward to me.
Yeah. This stuff is, I mean, I'm stoked to see in 2 to 3 years when they start really pushing out their own distillate that's aged in Indiana. Yeah. They're doing some stuff, man.
Yeah, the more I drink this, it is really fruity and it is really good. There's nothing bad about this.
I get like peach rings on the nose. Like it's good, but it's just like it's very safe. Like it's not it's very middle of the road. It's not, it's not too sweet, it's not too spicy, it's not and it's funny because what we're saying is actually a compliment to Hard Truth. Right, because this isn't their stuff. Like this is, so it's a compliment to them. But yeah, the other stuff was unique and this just wasn't. And so that's kind of where it's like, I'm at a point now where I'm like, I don't want to be drinking I don't want to really be drinking stuff that is just okay. Like I'm like, if I'm going to go get a bottle, I want it to be unique. I want it to be different. I want it to be either really old, really, and the Hard Truth stuff is unique. And that's what I can appreciate because once you get so many bottles, it's like, you're kind of looking for something different.
And it'll be really cool if you can save some of this bottle and taste it, because it's the same mash bill that they're going to distill in their own still and age on their own property, with barrels standing up, not on their side, on their own brick houses, and see the difference. If there is a difference in the terroir or whatever you want to call it. I bet it's drastically different because
I can guarantee you that'll happen.
Because we tasted, we had the opportunity to buy a single barrel rye that was aged in Kentucky, and I think, or distilled in Kentucky, aged in Kentucky, I think. And you guys were there when I was with Bryan, and I pretty much called where it was from. And it doesn't taste anything like their sweet mash rye. It's bonkers how different it is, just changing where it was aged and distilled.
They're straight up sweet mash rye. I would say that's as good, if not better, than 80% of the ryes out there on the market.
Yeah.
That stuff is incredible for a 2 to 3 year. I mean, there are none of that dill pickle.
Yeah, no, none of that.
Spearmint. I mean,
none of that.
No.
I picked this up today. I want to try it tonight. Is the Old Ezra 7 rye.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because it's Lux Row, but right.
Yeah.
But it's MGP, so now, right? So, or Rouse and Squib. So I'm interested to try that. I'll try that in a little bit. DK asks, is the regular sweet mash rye batch 1 so much better than batch 3 that I should buy a bottle of 1 at $100? And what is the difference between the original and reserve age mash bill? So I've had all the batches, and batch 1 is fantastic. I think it's just probably a matter of preference. I actually enjoyed batch 3 the most. I don't think there's much difference in age. Obviously they blended different barrels for each batch, but I don't know that the age necessarily got older. The mash bill was the same.
I'm sure it's better just by them getting better at making stuff. Like I feel like that's probably the only thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and blind, you might be talking about. Did you see? This is funny. Did you see Matt Madness? One of the episodes, he sent the 3 contestants 3 samples of the exact same whiskey.
All 3 was the exact same.
It's fucking hilarious, man. He sent them all like
terrible.
Knob Creek. I think it was a Knob Creek 12 or Knob Creek single barrel. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And they were all like, sample 1 were like bourbon, sample 2 rye, sample 3 bourbon.
That is. And the thing that I will say though about, and this is one thing that I hate about samples, is that whenever you send samples, it's not the same as drinking it from the bottle. Like no matter how you send the samples, you can have a perfectly clean bottle. Like there will be differences. So that is funny, but yeah.
It was a mind fuck. Yeah. So I thought that was so funny. So my point is, like, if you have batch 1, 2, and 3 of the sweet mash rye, there's minor differences. I don't know that one is going to blow you away, and blind you'd be able to tell much of a difference.
I'm a big fan of batch 1. That's my favorite, but that's personal preference.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, they're close.
All fabulous.
They're all and the DNA is the same. It tastes very close.
Right.
But yeah, Mark asked that. That was a great question. Mark asked, because I wasn't really sure the difference either. So to hear it with that analogy was perfect.
Yeah, I didn't know that toasting process or roasting went on with the malted rye either.
Which samples are these ones? The FN17.
Yeah,
that you sent.
What the fuck is that?
I got two of them, and they both say the same exact thing. FN17.
What? Yeah, what are you doing, Lance?
What
I have 8. What the?
They're not
were
even
you
the same.
Were you
number.
high?
Jesus Christ, I can't think of what in the world that is.
Well, I'll pour it and I'll find out. Let's see.
FN7. I probably meant to send you, I would assume, FN8.
And one of them's a 2-ounce bottle, the other one's a 1-ounce bottle.
Oh, really?
I think I just ran out of bottles. I don't think there was any significance to that. Let me see if I put it in my notes.
God, you're on.
This doesn't surprise either one of you, does it?
Not even in the well. No, number one, I got the samples, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, right.
No,
I didn't.
I mean, for fuck's sakes! I mean,
God dang it! I gotta think. What was that? FN17, FN8. What would that even be?
And the fact that you sent both 17s to me and both 8s to Ed, like that, like what?
Right.
Yeah, something's wrong with that. I probably meant to send you each one of them. FN17.
I was trying to think of.
We can't rely on him, Ben.
No, I was trying to think of what could this be? And I was thinking of like 17. Was that 17 years? I was like,
Yeah.
is that? I was like, there's no way. I was like, what could this be?
I gotta rack my brain. I mean, I've got a kid getting married in North Carolina in 3 months. I've got a kid. We're trying to figure out where she's going to college, and we're getting ready to move. And I started a 501c3. There's too much going on in my brain.
dude.
That is crazy. 3 months. Yeah, that's coming up quick.
So quick, man.
Why North Carolina?
That's where her boyfriend's stationed. He's in the Marines.
Got it.
Is he in Camp Lejeune?
Yeah. No, it's right next to it.
Well,
I don't.
He's screwed because he's drinking the water. So.
Oh yeah, they're all getting cancer. Shit.
Oh my God! So if you
Does
don't
it smell good or not?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was just saying, if you don't have anything left in your glass after drinking the chocolate, it literally smells like a cup of coffee. It smells like a cup of coffee.
It's insane that is not flavored.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how I felt about the balcones. Like I would love to compare them side by side. Like that would be interesting.
I think from what I remember, the balcones would be drier and not as pleasant as the Hard Truth, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but because
you get the Texas funk with the balcones that you don't get the Hard Truth, and the balcones I think was higher proof. And
it was, I think it was like over 120 compared to 109. So somebody said the balcones was like Mexican hot chocolate, which is what we named it, which is right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Are you drinking what I sent you, Ed?
No, I'm still reveling in the chocolate malt for a minute.
I gotta remember what the fuck I sent you guys.
You do?
This is interesting. It doesn't feel
it's gonna be garbage.
It doesn't feel like it's something like really high aged or like really, it doesn't feel like it's like a quote unquote special bottle, but it's good.
All right, I'm pouring them.
I'm trying to look at my my collection here and figure out what I sent you.
This is interesting.
Hey Ben, which one are you smelling? The FN-17?
Yeah, the only one that
You sure it's not just a Hard Truth rye that I already sent you and you're tasting it again?
No, this feels different. This
not.
actually feels like this could be finished.
I knew I should have took a picture and I didn't.
How do you not remember what you sent? Like that's
dude, I am a train wreck. You have no idea.
And you sent 2 of the exact same ones. I was like, there has to be something there. Nope.
I think he sent the same shit, 2 different bottles. I'm gonna pull up Matt Madness here. He's trying to fuck me, but it's not working.
I had to have sent you guys this. I meant to send you 2 samples. I had to have sent you the same ones. And I don't, for the life of me, remember what I sent you.
You sent me the same shit. You sent Ben the same shit. So I'm just going to tell you what I think.
Thanks for the super chat, man. Cilantro, buddy.
God, I give you $50 a month, Lance.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do.
I'm sorry too. Jesus.
I only have so many bottles.
Right.
How do I not know what I sent you?
Yeah, I mean, you knew we were going to be drinking Hard Truth stuff, so I'm trying to think what would you have?
Is this your barrel pick from A1?
No.
And to think that you sent 2, so it's like you didn't send the.
Did I send you
2 sample bottles?
I might have sent you Parker's Heritage.
You already sent me that.
Yeah, no, this definitely is not. This definitely isn't that.
No.
Because you sent it to us already. This isn't it.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No, this is like very fruity. At least the one that I have. Ed probably has a different one, but
yeah, right. I can't even compare to Ben because I have 8, he has 17. So what the hell?
What does FN? What does FN stand for? I'm trying to figure out how my brain would which is the problem. There's probably no map. That makes sense.
Yeah, like what's the 17? Because it's not. This isn't 17 years old.
No. This might be 8. I mean,
it's getting better.
I'm thinking that I might have sent you guys the latest the latest Bardstown. to taste.
Why do you get that?
The Origin series?
The Origin series.
Well, whatever that is pretty damn good.
Because I would have just said, oh, maybe it's a label that you had on there already, but the fact that it's on
I know what the FN17 is. I know what both of them are. Shit, I sent you guys different samples. Those samples we're not supposed to try tonight. I figured it out.
You are off the rails, dude.
I'm gonna have to send you guys each a different sample. I can't believe I put those in the same box. One of them is Found North 8 years old.
Oh.
The other's Found North 17, which has like up to 26-year-old Canadian whiskey. Because we're gonna have the Found North sent me 2 bottles, and we're having the Founders on. So I thought you guys could join me and taste through that with them.
Well, I got both 17.
If you'd like, Ben, I'll send you one of these 8s, and you can send me one of your 17s.
There you go.
We'll do a swap.
There you go.
That's hilarious. I mean, this is not. Yeah,
That's epic. That is freaking epic.
This does not feel old at all. This is not like one that I would have gone, oh, this is real like high age.
Yeah, I mean it's Canadian, but I thought it was really good for Canadian whiskey. I loved it. The 8 is good, but not as good as the 17.
Thanks.
Yeah. Send one of those to Ben. Ben, send yours to Ed. I can't believe I did that.
I just did. I just poured it back in the bottle, Ben. So I got one that's basically untouched.
I'll send you this other one here.
I mean, it's good. It's.
I cannot believe I did that. And then I couldn't figure out what I did.
I straight up can.
It almost has a it has like a light whiskey.
Hey Ed.
Fuck off, Ed. Fuck off, Ed.
Fuck off, Ed.
Fuck off, Ed.
Hey Lance, eat a bag of eggs.
Oh shit.
Man,
this this one I'm drinking it now because I poured it, but it's it has like a light whiskey characteristic where it has like a it's not like it doesn't burn your palate by any means, but it has like a very, it's not ethanol, but it is I'm trying to think of like what I could equate it to, but it's kind of like ethanol. It's very alcohol-y note.
I have a review coming out next week. I thought it was very vanilla cotton candy. It has like a weird texture on the nose that reminds me of cotton candy.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I get Big League Chew.
Ed did something totally different, so I'll listen to him.
Dude, everybody in the chat knew what it was before I did. Look, Found North. Well, this is my mom. Brain cells first to go.
That's I don't know how you didn't. It's not. Yeah, you're like, what do I have? And it's like right there in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the bottle sitting on the floor 10 times, and I didn't. So I poured the old 55 bottled and bond you sent us, Ed.
All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and pour that too.
Oh my God, it smells like a 2x4.
Does it?
It smells awful.
Yeah.
That's a glowing. That's a glowing. Whatever. Vote of confidence.
Have you guys had the? I heard the old 55 sweet corn was fantastic, but I had a chance to buy it, but I was like, I am not spending $150.
It's $130.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. This smells like this smells like a one of those whiteboard markers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. It was way better when I tried it at the.
How drunk were you when you tried this? Golly.
Oh man.
Dude, this is bad. This is not good at all. This smells like when you were little and you took the caps off of the whiteboard markers and you sniffed them. It tastes
a lot better than it smells.
It smells like Elmer's glue. That's what it smells like to me.
This is really bad stuff.
Remember in grade school when you used to put the Elmer glue on your hand and peel it off?
Oof.
Yeah. But it actually it doesn't, for a craft distillery, this isn't bad.
It's not. No, the nose is not good though.
The nose is not good.
It's like when you take tape, like if you have tape that's really sticky and it leaves the adhesive on your hand, like that's.
Yeah,
This feels very chemically.
I'm actually I'm shocked. I'm kind of enjoying the palate, Ed.
I mean, here's what it is right here.
I feel like I've had this before, but I can't remember.
What how much did you pay for that?
Too much. It's craft.
$60.
Wow.
You haven't tasted it yet, have you, Ben? I think you're going to be surprised when you taste it. It's a tricky bugger.
I was just curious. I mean,
this is better than Hidden Barn. Everybody's saying Hidden Barn's good. This is better than Hidden Barn.
Hidden Barn's it's not good. Straight up, it's not good.
This is a lot of vanilla on the palate. Tons of vanilla.
Okay, so what I get is it's thinner. Right up front, you get like that craft. You get that typical craft like grain forwardness, but it's like cornbread with like vanilla, like vanilla on.
I get candy corn, like the candy corn candies.
Yeah.
But that tape, that tape note, like Scotch tape.
Yeah, Scotch tape is perfect. Holy shit, that's perfect, dude. On the nose, it is straight Scotch tape.
Yep.
Oof.
It's
like when you think of,
it's literally
when you're moving, when you move, you have to tape all the boxes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's goodness gracious.
That's fucking fabulous.
How are you the master distiller and you're having to go to these barrels and you're like, all right, well, I imagine
is it 3M or Scotch? Which one is it?
Scotch tape is the best nosing note you've ever given, Ben. That is so dead on.
That is dead nuts on. I thought it was more Elmer's glue, but you're right, Ben. It's because I get that plastic.
Yeah.
Then you drink it, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. The palate does not line up with the nose at all.
They did it intentionally. They wanted to set the bar low so that they could.
Yeah, maybe it's making me. The palate has a it's so vanilla forward, and I don't know if it's just because we were talking about Founders North, but it has a Canadian whiskey kind of vibe to it. I wonder what the mash bill of their stuff is. Really, really high corn, I'm sure. Very low rye.
Oof.
It doesn't say.
The nose translates a little too much to the palate.
I don't get any of the Scotch tape on the palate.
I get a little bit of that. I get like it's almost like it's like you filter water through a bunch of wax. It's like you're getting like this like waxy just tape
that's
needless to say, this is not great.
No. Yeah, so the mash bill, this makes a little more sense because I was not picking up rye at all. It's 80% corn, 20% wheat, which is interesting.
That is weird. I'm curious, like what some of these distillers, like what is their, I guess you kind of feel bad for them in a way because it's like if they start off on a certain trajectory, they have to stay with that until they can get their next batch and then tweak it. So I don't know.
The amazing thing is how many people I see that actually love this stuff, like love it, like legit love it.
So now I'm getting like that Scotch tape is turning more into like a vinegar pickle note.
I don't get quite that.
Either that's power of suggestion, Ben, or
like very pungent.
It's a freaking pickle jar. If you don't have anything left in
your
glass.
Like it's not even because when you smell pickles,
it's not a good pickle jar.
The vinegars had time to die down. This is like almost smelling like vinegar, like right from. Oof.
I think you can just tell this is 80% corn. It's so much corn.
Yeah, it
smells like something went wrong.
Let's
something
go out
did not go correctly with this.
Old 55 is in Indianapolis. Hard Truth. there's no comparison.
No, and I'd hate to go to Old 55 because I've heard those guys are amazing and really nice, and I would fall in love with them and then feel really bad about saying bad things.
Imagine you have to like select a barrel from all these.
Yeah, we're not going to do an Old 55 barrel pick.
So
this is one of the weirdest and probably worst bourbon / whiskeys that I've ever. No, I appreciate you sending it. It's not your fault, obviously.
I don't think it's that bad. You think this is worse than Hidden Barn?
No, and there's no way this is Perry's
right.
match. There's no way this is close to Perry. There's no effing way.
Yeah, Perry's stock is way worse.
Here's the next video. We each take, or the next live, we each take our 2 worst bourbons or whiskeys that we own, and we send them to each other, and we do a blind of all of them.
Yes,
I love that idea.
Man,
yeah,
100%. I'm on board.
Yeah, let's do that for sure. That sounds awesome. If you guys are into us tasting our worst whiskeys, tell us in the chat.
Golly, I can't believe how strong that Scotch tape note is.
But yeah, that's the best note you've ever given, man.
It transitions though. It goes from Scotch tape to the lid of a pickle jar.
Yeah, like that metallic.
Because the lid has a little metallic and wax, and so
yeah.
Guys, if we do some kind of challenge where it's the worst whiskey, I've got this in the bag. Perry's stock, there's nothing worse than Perry's stock Cardinal.
Not that bad. It was not great, but it wasn't as bad as this.
Oh, there's no way,
that's you're wrong.
I mean, to be
did
fair,
you watch
I tried
the
it out
video?
of I didn't watch the video.
Lance, do you have the nope clip? You gotta put the nope up.
I do need that. I'll do that next live. I don't have the nope clips, but I will.
Ben, when you get this, nope.
So I had it.
Seriously.
Lance brought it when we had the meetup last year, and I tried it. It was out of like a plastic cup, to be fair, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was like the worst whiskey that I've ever had. Like it wasn't great. But...
Lance, is that the worst whiskey you've ever had?
Dude, this is fantastic.
Is it?
What the hell? It tastes finished.
Is it 7 years old?
Yeah, aged 7 years.
That's a good age for a rye.
Oh my god, this is really good. Yeah, it is. To me, it's the worst whiskey I've ever had. The Perry stock is really? By far not even close.
Guy. Hidden Barn needs to stay lost.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
not good.
No.
I'm going back to the Found North, and it's like maple syrup.
Let's see, Lance, for the barrel trip picks, have you considered holding an auction for one of the slots? Since this is all for charity, it might be a good way to raise some extra cash. I have thought about that. We have thought about that. It's a really good question. The question is, I don't want anyone upset that we promised one thing and then we change it, into the year. So maybe year 2. I don't know. I mean, we could vote on it and talk to the board and see what they want to do and make sure that everybody's okay with it. But it's certainly possible. We're trying to take 4 of you guys on each pick. And, our first pick is going to be Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. We already selected those people. The next pick, which we'll announce Sunday, is going to be the Hard Truth pick. You guys will love that. Whoever's selected to go on the Hard Truth pick. Hopefully Brian's there with us, but he, due to his travel schedule, he may not be able to. But that will be a fun pick. And then we're going to do a maker's pick. And Ben's not allowed to go on that one because he hates makers.
No, please put Ben on that. Please. Yeah. Please send Ben. Please.
Not a maker's guy.
But if you're in Barrels for Hope and you're watching this, don't let the cat out of the bag yet, because we'll announce that Sunday. But to me, my favorite barrel picks I've ever done have been Hard Truth and Makers. And I've been on them all. I've been on Buffalo Trace, Elijah Craig. I've been on so many. And to me, like there's nobody that beats a Maker's Mark pick. They wine and dine you. You get to go up you either go in this limestone cave or up on this hill where you overlook a lake and you do your own blend. And it's just an amazing experience that I'm excited that we get to have you guys on. So I think that's a good idea to maybe draw 3 and auction off a 4th. I think that's a really good idea and something we should look into.
That is a good idea.
Yeah.
Starlight does a heck of a job too.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Yeah, Ed, that's a good point. Starlight is right up there. Starlight is.
They do it. When I went with Power Bourbon, I mean, they take you around the whole grounds and feed you. And I mean, geez, we drank from 20 barrels. It was insane. But
yeah,
they're doing some good things. They're doing some real good things.
They're doing really good things. Yeah, their stuff's good. I think the difference is they're playing with so much finished stuff.
Right.
And I love their finished ryes. All their finished ryes I'm in on. Like the double oak rye you brought from the Power Bourbon pick is insane.
Man, have you tried that yet?
So I just poured the Power Bourbon rye.
It's so good, man. Dude. It's like I don't smoke cigars, but if I did, I'd be having that with a cigar, I believe. It's really good.
That one, yeah, that's probably my second favorite rye I own. Next to
that Takai, the one finished in Takai barrels that you sent, Lance, that one is one of the top. Like it's not even necessarily like the best, but it stands out the most in my mind when I think about all the different whiskeys that I've had. So good.
If I see a Starlight finished rye, I'm in on it. On bourbons, I'm iffy. On the ryes, I'm in.
They're fit. I agree, Lance. I agree totally. Except that VDN that we got was
that's good stuff.
That was pretty special. But like their port finish, and I'm on the fence with port to begin with.
So I like
port.
I like port a lot. I'm on the fence in all finished bourbons from Starlight because even on the VDN, like I taste a little craftiness. It's not bad.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of sherry finish. I
don't like sherry. No, I don't like sherry either. What I want, like my dream whiskey is something that's maybe 8 to 10 years that's finished in port. Because you get such a great fruitiness. It's kind of like Angel's Envy cask strength, but I want more age. Like I want it to have a little more age. Like that would be, you get the fruitiness, and I love fruit in my bourbon, and that's why I think MGP so much, like higher age MGP, because you get a lot of fruitiness.
And I get too much heavy prune flavor when it comes to ports.
Yeah, I could see that.
And
I like that flavor.
Off-putting to me. That's very off-putting.
I like that honeyed prune, honey raisin kind of flavor. It's good to me.
Yeah.
Now I like that, but if it starts to go like full blown, heavy, dark, jammy prune, I'm out. I don't. That's off-putting.
Most places, from what I've seen, when they do port, they finish it almost a little bit too long.
Right.
And so that's when it starts to turn. It's like just before that. And I think if you have higher age stuff too, because I haven't really seen like high age bourbon that's been finished in port. Most of the stuff that you see finished in port is younger.
Except for the Old Nodder.
Yes,
Old Nodder.
Hold on.
Blom did that. It was 12.
That was Madeira though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. That was Madeira. Yeah, that was Madeira.
That was okay. Like that wasn't great.
Okay.
But they ruined 12-year MGP like that.
I know. Because the 12-year Nodder was unbelievable.
That was so that in that Smoke Wagon pick, the 12-year Apex pick.
Yeah.
That was some of the best. That was some of the best bourbon that I've ever had, hands down.
Good stuff.
And we had them both in one night.
Yeah, I know. The stuff we used to drink, just not even thinking about it's crazy. So Lance, your version of Matt Madness could be Lance Lunacy. I like that. Reading the worst whiskeys and providing a list of crap you shouldn't waste your money on. I don't know if that's good for the brand, man.
Yeah.
As a marketing major, I like it, but it worries me.
the garbage disposal.
Yeah. ATV rides at Hard Truth. Yeah, man. I mean, Bryan with Hard Truth, he didn't realize he didn't have the 4-wheel drive engaged, and he nearly killed us and ruined all my camera equipment.
It was again one of those moments you had to be there, but being in that ATV when you're going up a slippery, because it had just rained, and so when you're going up a slippery hill, because before that we tried to go up a smaller hill and we slid back down, and so then he's like, all right, well, let's just go back the way we came. So again, knowing that we couldn't go up the other hill, we're then trying to go back up the hill we came.
That was even worse.
It was steeper.
It was freaking steeper.
And we start sliding back down, and I don't ride in a lot of ATVs. No, I'm like sitting here going, like, we're 3 miles out at this point. I'm like, we're hungover as well. And I'm like, we're about to have to walk back. I'm like,
that was scary AF right there. I literally had pie eyes going, we're going to flip over and die.
We all almost puked even getting there because we were so hungover from the night before. Then we had cocktails in an ATV that Bryan's driving. He doesn't know how to drive. It was a bad situation that we barely got out of.
Because Bryan,
but it was like 11 an epic weekend.
It's like 11 o'clock, and Bryan's like, "Oh, hey, you guys want some cocktails before we go out?" And like, we all said yes, and I think it helped. I think it did. Help, but
it did.
I was just like, yeah, on the drive there, all the windy roads.
I was hurting.
There's no straight road into Hard Truth. Just for all you guys in the chat, there is no straight road to Hard Truth.
Ed, I don't even know if I should bring this up, but should we discuss the last time we got together?
Go ahead. I was trying to find it, Ben, and I can't find it, but you've had that J. Rieger.
Yes.
Is port finish that I have that's like 126 proof.
That was actually better than I thought it was going to be.
That's actually very good. Anyway, go ahead, Ben or Lance. I don't care.
Let me answer this question. Are you guys thinking about an annual get together for the group similar to Pours in the Park? I assume you're talking about Barrels for Hope. Yes, we are going to do a ticketed event once a year. We're talking about, we're throwing around a lot of ideas. It'll probably be in Cincinnati, Ohio, because that's where we ended up filing for a 501c3. It'll just be easier that way. But I think we're going to try to have it around maybe May or June.
Let's do a Reds game. They give tickets away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that'll be great. I worked, we got a lot of cool things planned for that, but we'll have to see how Barrels for Hope go. We hope Barrels for Hope is like a kind of a, I don't know what the word is, a sticky organization where you don't have people coming and going a lot. You know, you're in there, you're happy to support charity, and we're doing everything we can to give you guys the best barrel picks possible. We're gonna have to, you know, kind of average it out and get some upper tier barrel picks and then do some middle tier barrel picks as well. But I think everyone in there understands that, and it's not, you know, the point isn't the barrel picks, but we want to give you guys amazing barrel picks and an amazing experience and give you guys allocated bottles. So like Sunday, we're going to raffle off 14 allocated bottles. We even have a Weller foolproof store pick in there. We're gonna draw for the 4 people that get to go to Hard Truth with us and the 4 people that go to Makers with us. And that'll take us through maybe, I think the Hard Truth pick is going to be in April and the Makers pick is going to be in May. And then we'll get the Hard Truth pick in July, and the Makers pick has got to age like another 90 days. So we'll probably get that in August or September. So that'll take us through September. And then we'll have to, in the meantime, we'll be scheduling and trying to buy our next picks. We're we have a pretty good line on a 4-gate pick. I hope we're going to be able to get that. And that will be our last pick of the year. I hope that's our last pick of the year. That's what we're really shooting for. Just to give you guys an idea, Elijah Craig barrel proof pick cost us about $9,000. A maker's pick cost us $15,000. So,
That's crazy.
so we kind of have to balance out, what picks we're doing and being able to, our number one goal is to give back at minimum $40,000 to charity at the end of the year. So we've got to work all those numbers out, which we're doing. And I think we're going to be able to do that and hopefully more. But this whole year, this whole first year is a kind of an experiment.
How much because I know Patreon takes a certain percentage. What's the percentage that they take?
Too much. And we talked about this in length. We we had meetings about this specific subject because we thought about doing what is it? I can't remember the other option that we were talking about using.
OnlyFans?
It wasn't OnlyFans. I think Dusty Dan was going to take some pictures of his feet and try to raise money or something, but but so it's about 8 to 9%. And when you have an organization, it's a lot. It's we're bringing in about $9,000 a month. So you're talking close to $900, $900 a month. But for the first year, we wanted to make it as streamless as possible for Whiskey Tube, and everyone on Whiskey Tube is familiar with Patreon, knows how to use Patreon. So, so basically, what we did, the initial cost that we figured, we added $5 to the month of dues to kind of make up for what Patreon was going to take. And so that's how we came up with a $65. It was going to be 60. We bumped it to 65 to cover the dues amount. But we're looking at it and we're like, Jesus Christ, it's $900 a month. That's, it's over $10,000 a year. And so in year 2, we'll talk about it, but we might switch platforms, but it's really scary if you're ever in marketing and you ever have anything to switch platforms. If you try to get people from YouTube to Instagram or from Instagram to
lose
YouTube,
some people.
It doesn't happen. People don't switch. So it'll be a gamble for us as an organization to do that.
I think with something like this, though, the benefit that you have is, one, it's very niche, and so you're getting people that are very committed, and then also, 2, you have a bench of people that would jump in a heartbeat to replace the people that wouldn't make the switch. So like that's where I think you could just you'd have to figure out like what the platform is and like how you want to manage it, because that is the thing that Patreon has, is it is very streamlined. But to take that much, like $900 a month, it's like, that's not worth it.
It's a lot. And we've talked about it, and we really thought about it hard and discussed all the options, and in the end as a group, we decided it was easier for everybody since they were already used to the platform. But it's definitely something in year 2 that we might switch to. But if we switch to it, I definitely want commitments from everybody. Like, I have no problem switching over to this platform, and that's my biggest worry, because I just know. I mean, I just know numbers. And when we set up this organization, I was like, we need 140 people. So we need 300 commitments, because only half are going to do what they say they're going to do. And we had 300 and half did what they said they were going to do. And it wasn't much more than that. So, I just know people. And so I really fear switching over platforms. I hate switching over platforms. It just doesn't work.
But $900 a month.
That's painful.
It's painful.
Yeah, I guess you think about, like, with everybody, because it's not just, if it was just you and you were trying to switch people over, it's like you might not have a big enough bench. But I feel like combining the multiple channels as well, you'll be able to have a big enough bench where you can fill at a rate that's enough to make up for the gap.
I think so too. And I think, the biggest thing is just making sure that we deliver on the promises we made on year one, and that's the biggest thing for me, is just making sure that we do year one right. And then if year one goes right, then I think year two will be a lot easier. And I think people will want us to switch, honestly, if they know that we're giving up almost 10 grand a year or more. I think they'll beg us to switch.
It's almost another barrel pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just by itself. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Kevin said, like the idea of an annual get together for Barrels for Hope. Yeah, man, I think it'll be amazing. Ever since Leroy from Dave Matthews Band died from an ATV excursion, I've taken him off the list. I shouldn't laugh at that, but I laugh at inappropriate things.
It doesn't shock me.
I love Dave Matthews Band, man.
There was a guy by the name of Ken Block. He did like a lot of crazy, like just not like crazy. He's not like a Travis Pastrana or like anybody doing like crazy jumps and stuff like that. But he did a lot of crazy car stuff. And he ended up dying from not ATV, but it was a snowmobiling accident. And it's like that stuff happens. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Did you see that one, Ed? That's a good comment. I like that comment.
Keep going. Keep going down.
Oh, sorry. You're ahead of me. Let's see. Here's the deal. No matter what we get in barrel picks are allocated pours. This is all going to charity, which makes this incredibly special. I agree. But I know we have some people who, I mean, man, we've already had people send us messages and ask us if they can drop off after the Elijah Craig barrel proof pick.
What?
And I'm like, man, you're in this for the wrong reasons. This isn't what we're doing. Like, we are non-paid board members. We're doing a barrel pick program where we're not keeping any of the money, and A1 Liquors in Effingham is giving us 6 barrels that they could sell, and they're not cashing in on profits. So, I think those people, I'm not worried about upsetting, because I don't want them in the group anyway. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah,
this isn't the group for you.
With stuff like that, like I would just I guess that is kind of a
thing drop off. Yeah, do it. Just do it.
You wanna almost like have it be a yearly thing. Like you pay up front for the year. Like that's, I mean, then you're obviously, that's a big expense for people to pay up front, but it's kind of like that's the mindset you want to have going into it.
Yeah, basically what we're doing is you have to be a member when the pick releases, and I have to see that you've paid at least 2 months of dues. So, if people take advantage of that, they will. But hopefully we have enough great people who care about the bigger picture, and it's not about that.
No.
Yeah.
I want to see year 2, and I'll wait until way later in the year, but I've got a great charity that I want to get hooked up with in Montana. Great guy I went to high school with, veteran based. I want to see if we can do something big time with those guys, but I'll wait.
I'm sure we'll be able to, because we talked about
amazing dudes, and I know they would. And that's what I'm in it for, is I want to be able to look down the road, like not now, but a couple years down the road with these guys. And they, like, I know Dusty's a veteran, and my hat's off to veterans, and and my kid's mom is a breast cancer survivor. So like Renee, I mean, this is an amazing group and an amazing thought for a charity. I was on board from day one, and I think it's just epic what we're doing.
I think so too. I'm excited about it. speaking of niche, if you are in Geneva, hit up Niche, best bourbon selection in the area. They are fantastic. Brett's brought me some barrel picks of theirs. They're really good.
Yeah. Hey, Brett.
Such a great charitable exercise. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very easy, I guess, quote unquote, easy way to raise money for charity. It's like people are already going to be buying these picks anyway. Like if most of these people that joined up for the Barrels of Hope whiskey club, it's like they would be buying these picks in a liquor store regardless.
Right.
So it's like you're not doing anything new or different with this club, and you're getting the picks that you would be buying in stores anyway.
Yeah, it seemed, after talking to Josh with Stuff and Whiskey, it kind of just evolved and seemed like the right thing and the amazing thing to do. And long term, I don't know how easy this is going to be, but long term, there's only so much we can do. We can only do 6 picks a year. That's a lot, especially with our schedules, with our channels, with our full-time jobs, with our kids. Going on 6 picks a year is a lot. Like getting our schedules together is damn near impossible, to be honest. That's the hardest part. And then shipping these is going to be really hard. But finding a store to work with and curate the picks is another issue. And so now that we've got this process streamlined and we know, exactly when to file for everything, and we have our articles of incorporation and our bylaws, and we've got all those written out and they went through the system flawlessly. It'd be nice if we can help other people in other states do the same thing. If there's an Ed in Wyoming that wants to start the same thing, then we help them facilitate with a store. Maybe they get 50 picks like Narav, and he's willing to donate 6 of them, which we can buy tax-free because we're a legitimate 501c3. And we help them streamline the process, and they're able to also raise 40 to 100,000 a year. And we have chapters of this throughout the country. Maybe it's 10 chapters, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 20, who knows?
Maybe it's 5,
maybe it's 5, whatever it is. It would be really cool. And that's the ultimate goal. And I don't know what's possible at this moment because this is all new. I don't know that anyone's ever tried it like this. So we're kind of like wading into new waters here and seeing what happens and what works, what doesn't work. And we're just kind of, making the leap and figuring it out as we go. And we're just willing to succeed, but also willing to fall flat on our face if it doesn't work. And that's what you got to do. So we're just going at it, man. I'm excited about
Lance
it.
Doesn't have to ship you anything. You're fine.
That's true. That's fair.
Or if you go hang out at Lance's, just be ready. You're in trouble.
Oh yeah, I didn't tell the story. I'll wait till Ben gets back and we'll tell the story. There's Ben. So Ed, something about Ed, man, when he comes over, I never get wasted. It's something about Ed when he comes over, I'm gone. And Ed, my daughter showed me the video, and I want to
video.
I want to you didn't know they were taking video?
Oh wait. Oh, when we were around the table, and
I want to publicly apologize to you. I am obnoxious as fuck when I'm drunk.
It's bad. It's pretty bad, but
it's so bad.
I just laugh.
I could tell, like I don't remember anything. We were at the table. We were drinking George T. Stagg. We did a finished bourbon flight. We rated those.
We did Old Fitz 17, Old Fitz 19.
Yep. We got into Old Fitz.
Brought something else.
We got into Old Fitz 19, which we fell in love. I really fell in love with it. Apparently,
that's good. It's really good. Drunken bias. It's not the best I've ever had. It's freaking really good.
It's really good though. And I started doing bottle flips with the Old Fitz 19.
Literally, man, like full blown bottle, like Dan from Bourbon Junkie bottle flip.
I'm giving this is all I don't remember any of it. I've just seen the video. And my kids never saw me drunk until this night. And I'm giving Ed I'm cheersing Ed over and over again, and I can tell by watching myself I'm trying to physically harm both of us.
Yeah. He wants to break a gland in our
break a gland. I'm doing it so obnoxious.
He called his wife what the fuck? Shut the fuck up, shorty, or
no. On the video, I said
it was bad. It was really
I said this is so bad. I said, "Come here, you short-haired fuck."
That's right. Yeah, you short-haired fuck.
And Ed's like, time out.
Yeah, I'm like, wait the fuck. No. I went over to both his daughters and said, I am sorry.
And my kids are like dying.
Drunk, so he's like slurring his words probably. Like
I wasn't actually slurring too bad. That's the thing. Like I was fine. I didn't even feel it coming. And then all of a sudden I'm just gone. And so Renee is so amazing. She's laughing. She knows I'm just an idiot. It doesn't bother her at all. Her and the kids go in the back, and she says she hears me saying something like, "Oh, take 3 or 4. It'll be fine. We'll be fine."
Oh,
and then we took like a ton of stuff. I don't know.
Doing drugs.
Some dumbass fucking hangover thing that
was expired.
You guys were doing crystal meth. That's crazy.
I mean, Lance says, "Wait, 2 of these, and 2 fucking scoops. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine." Like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. and like, I'm gonna argue, I'm shit faced.
Yeah, and we went out to dinner, and I had shrimp and grits. Keep that in mind.
So you got drunk and then went out to dinner?
No. We went out to dinner, then got drunk.
We
I was
went
gonna
out
say
to dinner.
That's quite the experience.
Had a pour of George T. Stagg.
That was phenomenal. This year's George T. Stagg is ridiculous.
Agreed.
But yeah, then we came back, and then Chuck came over, and we shared supports with Chuck, and I remember all of that. And then there's just a point where I just don't remember anything. And I mean, it was the Old Fitz 19, and so Renee like takes me back to bed, and then she apparently her and the kids hear Ed like puking from his toes. He's in our other bathroom, just retching.
Yeah.
And so she comes in, and she wakes me up, and she goes, "Ed's in the other bathroom puking. You're not going to puke too, are you?" And as soon as she said that,
30 seconds later,
boom, it comes straight out.
Oh my gosh.
It was bad. I don't pretty
So
much
bad.
same thing, Len. It just it came like from here and just went.
I don't know if it was the cheers, the drugs that I gave us, probably in excess.
Probably.
Golly.
The food, the 19-year-old bourbon, I'm not sure. A combination of all of it. It was so bad.
If you have you been to Lance's, Ben?
Yeah.
His kitchen table will end up with 20 bottles of bourbon on it, regardless of what you're doing. It just eventually they just morph and boom. You've got 20 bottles of the best bourbon you've ever had in your life. And then you're bottle flipping, you're ordering $70 at Taco Bell, you're eating 6 ice cream bars. It's a train wreck.
That's the thing that's the problem is like once you start getting to that point where you start tipping over the edge of being drunk, you just start like something tastes good and you just eat way too much of it.
Mm-hmm.
And your stomach is like, I want none of this. And you've already got bourbon in there mixed. Like I can only imagine what bourbon looks like inside of your stomach with your stomach acid.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And then you're throwing ice cream sandwiches and Taco
It
Bell on
looks
top of
like
it.
the molten core of the earth, basically.
Yeah.
Well, my wife is a saint because she woke up the next day and she was not pissed off at us. I mean, she was like, what the fuck? But she wasn't terribly upset. She was more upset with me because I threw up in our room because God, it was awful.
Then when you tried to FaceTime her the next day, she's like, no, you're not. I'm not FaceTiming. No.
but see, Ben's came over many times. It's never happened. So I think you're the problem, Ed. You are the problem.
Ed's the enabler.
Yep, he's the enabler for sure.
Apparently I am, because when you guys came here, we were
same thing.
I'm so thankful though. Like I saw you guys getting drunk and I was like, I'm going to take a step back, and I still woke up the next morning and I bent over to grab something once I got out of bed.
It was not good.
You have that like little bit of the spins and you're like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, I knew if I would have continued with you guys, I would have just been gone to the wind.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's something about Ed that gets me going, man.
Sorry,
but it's definitely all Ed's fault.
That's the thing about bourbon is you're drinking such little amounts, but it makes such an impact, and you just don't even really think about it. And then bourbon hits you like a freight train, and all of a sudden you're drunk.
Yeah,
and if we were all say rookies, we'd all be in that 80 to 90 proof range. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not. We're all 115 to 140.
Yeah, Ed and I had George T. Stagg at dinner, and then came home and we did a five finished whiskey tasting, and they were all over 120 proof.
And then we cracked two Bookers,
yeah.
Plus,
yeah.
And had another pour of that Stagg that Chuck brought. And
then Chuck fled. I think he didn't say anything, but I think he could tell, and he was out of there.
Exactly.
That's the thing that whenever we do these meetups and things like that, I'm super choosy about what I'm drinking, because I know I'm like, I might get 6 pours of something, and then you hit your upper limit. And so I'm like, I'm not drinking anything that I know I can get anywhere else. Like I'm going for the best. Like I'm not drinking Bookers. I'm not drinking.
Early on, go for the top tier shit.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Ben, in about 7 pours, it don't matter. It can be Beam, White.
You can't even taste anything either. Yeah. It's like you're just not. Yeah. But to start off with George T. Stagg, like that's a bold move.
No, we had other pours earlier.
Okay.
Did we had pours before that? We did have some pours before we went to dinner too.
Yeah, we had the Starlight pours.
That's right. We did. We tasted Jesus. Yeah, that's why. Terry says, I couldn't believe the amount of money going to charity the first year. What a great idea. I'm in for the long haul. Awesome, dude. Yeah, it's fun. Darren Lane says, Renee's right. Idiot. Yep, that's fair.
Yep.
She literally is a saint. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I married her, because I can get away with almost anything.
And just wait, Ben, it's coming. But when your kids get to 16 to 20, their phone lives right here, and you'll be on video for the rest of your life.
Yep. I made it. I felt pretty good. I made it 17 years without my kids ever seeing me wasted. And then Ed came over.
I came along, and
that is pretty good. That's pretty good. That's funny.
Two of the 5 drunkest nights of Lance's life.
Oh, dude. So my kids constantly now say, because apparently I asked you 1 billion times, you good? And you'd say, I'm golden. So my kids, every day I see them, they're like, you good? And I'm like, I'm golden. So hilarious. Oh shit.
Oh, that's epic. That's fucking fabulous.
Yeah, dude, it is constant. You good? I'm golden. And they say it to each other all the time.
Oh,
because we have a video of me. I don't know why you didn't punch me, man. I must have asked you 50 times in a row, and you just kept saying I'm golden. You never got upset.
Nope. I'm never a pissed off mad drunk ever.
Oh man, I'm obnoxious, dude.
You are obnoxious as AF, dude. Bad.
And with you especially, I don't know what it is. I wanna like just.
You do. I know. It's all good. I don't care.
You just want to give Ed like a nuggie, just like
Yeah. He's so cute. You just want to
Shut the fuck up. Eat a bag of dicks. You know we got to get Whiskey Tornado t-shirts with EBAOD on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we could do that. Well, speaking of being drunk, I haven't eaten dinner yet, so Bryan had to have this so early. This is like 8 into my dinner time.
I seriously had to like look 3 times. Like, are you sure?
Yeah, it's early.
5 o'clock for me. I was like, I can't eat dinner.
Yeah, you
yet.
two 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I was like, this is
we're
early.
at 5. I told Bryan, I was like, dude, there might be, if you want to do it at 5, we can. There might be 2 people on the live stream. We actually had okay numbers, so it was fine. But
That's awesome.
But anyway. But yeah, man, this was a great time. I love these ryes. Hard Truth is just continues to amaze me for 2 to 4 year rye. It's one of my most exciting distilleries. I love them, man.
They're super impressive. I'm excited for the barrel pick for Barrels of Hope.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they're doing in another year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be the barrel pick there is gonna be fun. I'm super pumped that we get to do like the first rye that's actually aged and distilled on their property is gonna be amazing.
I could be wrong, but I think most of their rye was distilled on their property. None of their bourbon has been, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, their rye initially was distilled somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, distilled. Yes. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you mean it? Then it was aged on their property?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think it was aged somewhere else.
Okay. All right.
Initially, but I could be wrong. Either way, it doesn't taste the same as the shit that they distilled and aged on their property.
And it doesn't taste anything like any other craft is doing.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
The stuff that was aged elsewhere or distilled elsewhere at least has mint notes that I'm not particularly fond of, that the stuff that was distilled and aged on their property does not have. There is 0 mint that I can find.
0. Yeah. You'd be hard pressed to know that was a rye.
Yeah.
Or that it was 2 year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, I missed you, man. I'm glad we got to do this tonight.
Good stuff, fellas.
Yep. Next live stream. When is that? March 7th?
Whiskey of ever, right?
March 7th is with Nick from Found North, I believe. So
cool.
I might have the date wrong, but I'll send you guys, since you guys have the samples, send each other samples. Well,
I got 8, so send me 17. Send Ben 8.
All right. Love you guys. Thanks for everything, man. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for jumping on tonight.
Y'all.
Thanks for everybody watching. Later, guys.